What's up, people? I actually slept in this morning. It's 8:30. How's that? The sun is up. Cheers, people. Is it Tuesday the 22nd? Yes, it is. Tuesday. Moving right along. Heading towards my gig on Friday. Looking forward to it. Staying relaxed about it. Well, I can show some records today, but I also want to share I had a great day yesterday. Blake followed through. We actually came over. You know, something that I have learned and continue to relearn, which is a hard lesson for most of us to learn, is that everyone is doing what they're doing. Really, almost at no time is anyone doing anything because of anyone else. There are people who live their lives feeling we're so connected and I can't do anything without her. I can't do anything without him. And we work so we can read each other's minds, and I don't buy that at all. What I see is that we're all doing our own thing. We come together and we work together when we have common interests, but generally speaking, we all do what we want to do. By saying that, it brings me a lot of comfort in my relationships, in my current life. For example, with Blake. Love Blake, and I really relate to him as a musician as well as a human being. But our paths are very different, and so I've gotten used to him saying, "I'll be by," and then I don't see him for days. So when he actually showed up yesterday, it was like, "Oh, okay, so you can actually you actually made it by today." I don't take it personally. I understand it's his deal. Okay, really good to see Blake. He is one of the premier horn players in Omaha on trumpet. He is so busy. He just got back from Europe. Asked him about his tour. Really enjoyed it. He said they played 12 nights of 13 that they were in Europe. And so they didn't have time to do touristy stuff. But he enjoyed Spain the most. It was very wonderful because he wanted to hang out. And, I really would think that maybe, our friendship was tentative and that the good part of it was over. But it's not. It's just he's doing his thing. And it's not the same pace as mine. So to get started about talking about things, this is the Muse. I just sold two digital copies. Thank you, people. Blake told me, and this is not unusual, but he said to me yesterday he hadn't really listened to the Muse since it was released, and that he recently played it for the first time and was blown away by his own work, our work. There's no other music sounding like this coming out of Omaha. Excuse me, that morning rumble. So, and again, I'll wait and I'll believe it when it happens because I know that something could easily happen. But Blake is activated, and supposedly he's coming over tomorrow for us to get back to work. We actually had started work on the Muse 2. I have one track started with him for that. Supposedly he's coming by tomorrow to get back to work. But what was even better was, as we're visiting, I get a knock on the door and Cubby shows up. I wasn't expecting that. He didn't tell me that Cubby was coming by. He looked kind of surprised too. It was really good to see Cubby. Cubby is the guitar player on the Muse. He just moved back from New York, so There was a lot to talk about, and we talked and enthused, but we also listened to music, and we also had an completely out of the blue improvisation session, real short, with percussion. It just happened. I love these guys. I love crazy musicians. I appreciate you sharing those pictures with me, PJ. As you can see, I keep my responses short because I don't want to get drawn into a whole lot of conversations that are going on all the time. I do. I like to be left alone. I do. So, besides playing the Muse for, I gotta look here because I put stuff away, but we played some music, and it was wonderful to share music with them. I love talking about and listening to music with both Blake and Cubby because they listen deeply and they respond just real honestly. So we listened to Bo Hansen, because it was sitting out, and Blake was curious what I'd been listening to, and so I just showed him some stuff, and he wanted to hear it right away. Really got into it. I didn't know what to expect, But then we got off into some jazz through watching some video. But some of the artists that we watched and really got into was some Charles Mingus yesterday. I'm just showing an album since the videos. I can't show you the videos, but we were watching some live performances by Charles Mingus. This is a great album. There was one in particular where Eric Dolphy is in the band. This is a really wonderful album, Last Date by Eric Dolphy. An original copy, too, that I got when I still worked as a security guard with my dad at the local newspaper. We also watched, and it was... Okay, just right quick. Yes, I can show this one anyway. We also got into listening to a little bit of Rahsaan Roland Kirk because I was sharing that I had watched a documentary recently about Roland Kirk. It was very eye-opening. Really gave me a new respect for his artistry and how to listen to his records because he's on the raw side of his playing, but he's very accomplished and a real deep man and a trailblazer for black musicians and black music in America. So then, after Cubby showed up, unannounced, and we enthused about that, I was trying to share with them, besides what they're doing, what I've been doing, and I shared that I'm in this series called Artists Engaged that's on Vimeo that is put together by Thala McDonough. I shared that Thala is this guy here who put this album out recently with Terry Riley and Nels Klein. And at first I was just going to show it, but Cubby really wanted to hear it. And it ended up being a really wonderful listening experience. This is, a lot of this is vocalese. They're doing things with their voices as well as sounds that Nels Klein is making on the guitar. Half the time you can't tell it's a guitar at all. There's other instruments too. This was a surprise. I've only listened to it a little bit since I got it. So yesterday we listened to a whole side and it was fantastic. So the Muse is on. They're both excited. Cubby also said that, his experience of what we did was heightened over time, that what he contributed to my album is along the same lines spiritually of what he wants to manifest musically. So this was just wonderful. It's a wonderful visit. Really appreciate my friends. So, then after they left, it was they were here for hours. They were here so long that I actually was almost ready to kick them out. My cup gets full, and then I'm ready for people to leave. but it just worked out. They were here for maybe 3 hours. That was wonderful. Wonderful visit. After they left, I opened the studio to review the selection of tunes that I have for us to work on for Muse 2, to just check and see if I needed to change anything. And no, I don't. This is stuff that's ready to be augmented. And so after that, I was in the living room, so I continued to watch some TV. And I want to just share this. I watched classic rock albums. It's a series of documentaries on the making of records like Steely Dan's Asia and stuff. I watched 2 yesterday. One about Peter Gabriel's album So. And that was a revelation. You know, I love this album, and I have it right up here. I have several copies. Don't really need to show it. It was wonderful to hear it from Daniel Lanois's perspective. You know, how he literally had to put his foot up Peter Gabriel's ass to get the album done. How at one point, Peter Gabriel kept allowing himself to be distracted by phone calls. And at one point, Daniel Lanois literally took the phone out of Peter Gabriel's hands and smashed it on the console of the mixing desk. And they moved forward. That's fucking cool. You know, it's about the music, man. Come on, get up off this bullshit. And in Peter Gabriel's response to it, because of course, you know, it's some heavy shit, Peter Gabriel admitted, Daniel Lanois was right. I'm real good at distractions, which is part of why it takes him so long to make records. But the other classic one that I watched was about Rush and the album Moving Pictures. Now, I'm so out of room that once again I've had to put records in the closet. And that was one of the records. Rush was some of the records that had been put away. But while watching the documentary, I like Rush, musically mainly. It's really, I need to pull that record and I want to play it. I have Moving Pictures. I mean, kind of like Michael Jackson's Thriller. I think this is a very ubiquitous album, particularly among rock listeners. Moving Pictures. This is a very good album. It's very good, very well made, very well thought out, and also very accessible. As interesting musically as it is, it's very tuneful and easy to listen to. I really enjoyed this last night. And as I've said before, I saw Rush. They were the opening band for Hawkwind. I think Neil Peart had just joined the band. Okay. So there's that. The other thing that happened while I was I also have Farewell to Kings. This was my first Rush album I still have, but on cassette, 2112. I don't think I bought it. Maybe I did. I've had it so long I forget how I ended up with it. But I liked 2112 right away. But while I was in the closet digging up my Rush, there's a bunch of I have a bunch of library music albums, and they were in there looking at me, saying, "Hey, did you forget about us?" I'm getting ready to show something. That's what I'm doing here. So I pulled a stack, and I got through a couple of them last night. Library music made by known and unknown musicians for the purpose of industry. Television spots, movie pads, whatever, advertising. So I pulled a couple last night, and I enjoyed every one, and with a new perspective. I must admit that my perspective continues to grow with age. You know, my ability to appreciate and see things more objectively, I think, is what's growing. So here's one that I played all the way through. Sound Waves Part 2. And this has nothing to do with my album called Sound Waves. I made an album called Sound Waves because Kelly, rest in peace, made a t-shirt for me called Sound Waves. He came up with the idea. And I made a record after the fact because of the T-shirt he made for me. God bless Kelly. If you're listening, hey Dan, this was fun. This is primarily electronic, and what's nice about these is the titles are descriptive, basically. And this is all about time travel, paragliding, combustion, fanfare for space. It was fun. But I played a couple of others that in the past when I played them, I was dismissive because they weren't on first listen the type of library records that are desirable by people who do sampling. This is just like some real straight orchestral stuff like this album, Inherit the Wind, the music of Peter Reno. This was actually rather enjoyable. Orchestral music dedicated to each month of the year. And I really got into November. It's almost fitting that one of the most enjoyable tracks on here was the one for upcoming November. Real cool. Played this one, Inner Reflections. Now this one is all organ with a small trio. And so this one was the least satisfying last night. It's just all organ and almost kind of like the kind of organ that you used to hear in the 60s and 70s when you go to a restaurant and they'd have a live person, pumping out the hits on the organ. But cool to have. This one was way cool. And it was a much better experience from the last time I played it. Skyboat. This is cool. Worth seeking out for you folks that like stuff. Vocal and instrumental pop sounds with a feeling of summer. Well, actually what they did is they just try and take the Beach Boys and interpolate. Is that the right word? Because the album starts off with summer vibes, and it's a take on Good Vibrations. These musicians, as they say, they don't always credit the musicians, but everyone from Soft Machine to Pretty Things to you name it have done records like this. So these people are very skilled. And so the first two tracks are real Beach Boys like, with a lot of ba-ba-bas and ooby-doos and shit. And then they throw in a bit of Beatles, a little bit of Beatles. So this was a real fun listen last night, Skyboat. And I dare say that people who are Beatles and Beach Boys collectors might find that album of interest. I listened to one more of the library records. I kept a bunch out. Hope to get to the others today. Ideas in Action. So this just tells you, obviously, what it says it right there. Modern small orchestra pieces for achievement, action industry, etc. Played by the Sound 70s Orchestra. So this was, and again, very descriptive. City of the Future, Olympia 2000, Keep Moving, Call of the Wild. This was fun. Library records, very cool. It's a whole nother thing where I could, you can get lost trying to collect them. There's so much. I played some other records, so let me try to get to them. Here's one that I played, twice. Let me go to this one right away. Made me think of Dan. If you see this, Dan, or if you hear this, Dan, I thought of you and the band while I was listening to this. I don't listen to a lot of punk, but I was in the mood the other day and I played Scream, Still Screaming, DC band. This is real incredible. And it's also, again, one of those situations where the lead singer at the time, Skeeter's black. It's important to me as a black person, the inclusion where we're working together. This is a killer album. If I'm not mistaken, Dave Grohl was in an early version of the band. Yes, he is. I have the single. He's not on this album. Doesn't need to be. This just kicks ass. And I catch some of the lyrics, and I relate to them when I hear. This is a Killer album, Scream. Killer. You don't even have to call it punk. It's just really aggressive music of the people. Paul Parrish, The Forest of My Mind. This is a collectible pop psych album from 1969 or 70. Not that long ago I got this. This is an original copy in mint condition. Just decided to play it because I'd kind of forgotten it. It's very poppy, but it's also very colorful, and I can't help myself by the four tops at the end of the album. It's kind of like, what? And then as they go on and you hear them playing it for the best they can, you can hear it's like, okay, yeah, this fits. This is really good. Paul Parrish. Do I have one more? Yes, I do. I meant to play the low end for Cubby, but we never got to it. Such wonderful energy with those guys. Love Cubby and Blake, I really do. And also, as we were talking and reminiscing about stuff, and I'm talking about stuff and how long I lived here, and it just occurred to me, a lot of what I'm talking about is before they were even born, and here they are, they're my friends. It just means a lot to me. Yesterday was the anniversary of the release of this album by Hiromi Hosono. The Endless Talking was released on October 21st, 1985. And this is some kind of music for some kind of installation or something. It's totally electronic. I love his electronic work. But one of the things as time has gone on that I can hear about this is that this is an early album of where you have either emulators or samplers, and I can literally hear where Hosono is making things up by playing samples, and you'll hear it at the different registers on the keyboard. Like you play a sound in the middle and it's like the actual sound. You play it low on the keyboard, it's a low tone. High, it's up. And he messes with that, but very creatively on the album. So I really enjoyed that yesterday. So that's also, if you see this, Richard, it came yesterday. I gave it a cursory listen. And after talking to you and just finding out more about what this guy, Gary, is up to with this Cleistwar project, my first listen, I just listened to the first track. I like it. I understand what's going on here. And this is good work. It is. I said, I'm just letting you know that I got it. Initial listen, it's like, okay, yeah, this is good. It takes me to a place that I have to be ready to go to, okay? It is kind of dark and musty to me, the way the sounds feel. But it's good work. It is. It's good work. Folks, I am chuffed that the ongoing interest and response to my music. I want to clarify that when this comes out next Friday, it's not a physical release, it's just digital. I just made a mock-up because I like that still from a video of what can you guess what that is? But sales have picked back up, which means I've had a sale yesterday. I wake up and they had a sale today. That's wonderful. One sale a day. In some business practices, one sale a day is the difference between making it or breaking it. That's not the case here, but it makes a big difference to have a sale at all, because many of us go for months, nobody buys nothing. This is an extraordinary record. I'm not just saying it because it's mine, because it is. It's exceptional. And it's not like anything else. It's ambient, it's jazz, it's sound work, it's psychedelic, it's all of that. And Cubby and Blake raised the level of my music by adding their voices to it. I've made some good records. That's a real good one. if it's there, I will make one more mention. Yeah, there it is. It's got to be up here. It's in the dang. Okay, just a moment. Okay. I took most of my records out of the. I took the doubles of my albums off the shelves, trying to make more room. But I wanted to call attention to this album, Dereck 3, if you've never heard this. This has me playing live instruments, and it has in particular, let me turn this down. It has a track on here called Bass Lament. Bass Lament. It's a bass solo, but it's double tracked, so it's on my Bandcamp too, but you can hear my bass playing on here. I'm not of a mind where that's what I'm really wanting to show you is my playing, how well I can play or not play. What I'm interested in is sharing my ideas, getting the musical ideas across. So it's not important to me personally to be playing real instruments myself on them. It's realizing the ideas. But if you want to hear my actual playing, guitar, bass, whatever, listen to this on my Bandcamp site. Shit, buy a digital copy. Okay? That's what I got for you today. As always, sending love to my family, to everyone, everywhere. And stay in touch with me, okay? This is a dang, I need to get a new mouse.